Alrighty-o, so it's time went back. My stove is wrong, so technically it feels like 12, but it's by law 11. Going on 11. Anyway, so this is the pork that's stewed all night. Those bones are in there, so I'm going to let them stew all day and quite possibly until tomorrow, right? Because I won't have to defat that very much. And then after I take out the bones, I'm going to keep the bone marrow, put the bone marrow back into the meat or wherever, as well as one roast I'm going to chop up, and I'm going to boil it in the bone broth to enhance the flavor and the nutrients. Where the other roast I'm going to put into jars raw. And of course, coffee. So this is the pork bones with a little piece of pork in there, and whatever chicken bones that I took off from that second chicken that I had, and I just baked that one with ginger and garlic. Okay, now because of the fat within the pork, it would be in my best interest to thoroughly cool it, strain it, and then put it in the fridge and let the grease come to the surface before I can it. Otherwise, I'm sure it tastes good. And it does. It's not even that bad. In terms of grease, that is. But because I'm canning with a fatty pork anyway, it's just a little better to go the extra mile. Now, I wanted to talk about this, okay? I'm going to do this more often, just the way I did this. Look how dark that is. That's that chicken broth from that one little teeny weeny chicken that I put in my trusty pot that I've had for, oh my God, 38 years, 40 years, something like that. Because I had it at Wally's house. Anyway, and it tasted so good. And look at the color in it. If you were to buy chicken broth in the grocery store, in those little Mylar cartons, it would be nothing like this. So I highly recommend you do this. And it's worth the investment. Just buy a chicken, get a basically large size pot, put it in there with some water, and then just put a lid on it, get it to that, right, and leave it for the night, let it stew, right, and oh boy, you'll have no regrets. I'm going to do that again. Just for the broth. Just for the broth, people. When I run out of my broth. When I see I'm starting to run out, that's what I'm going to do. I just wanted to say that. So, we're going to do this for Amari. That's what I'm going to title this video. We're going to do this for Amari. Okay? Because that's basically what I'm doing. And I need to do probably, as much as I think I'd like to can the pork by the end of the night, day. Because don't forget, I only got 4 hours sleep. I went to sleep at around 3 o'clock in the morning and woke up at 7. Nerves. Trying not to get derailed here, okay? Trying not to, you know, become a victim to that loosh harvesting. That's like just buzzing around me like a freaking nest of yellow jackets. Yeah. Oh, that broth is so good. I want more. Like, that's serious, man. That's some serious comfort food. And it's not like really overpowering, right? It's a nice blend of pork broth. And because I've decided to keep the 2 broths separate, one pork, one beef, this is going to go really well with what I'm going to be doing with the pork that's in the fridge. But I have to defat it first, right? It almost tastes like I put spices in it. Like maybe a small bay leaf. You don't, that is so good. Like, seriously. Oh my God. All I put was just a little bit of salt in there. That was it. It was so good. The chicken had a little bit of spice because, you know, right? And then the ginger and the garlic. So as I was, and then I took the gelatin from at the bottom of the roasting pan and I put it in there. That must be what it is. Oh, wow. It's so good. So yeah, I am going to do prep work. I'm going to cut the roasts, then put them back into the fridge in 2 separate containers. I want to cut the pork into smaller pieces and of course render it. As this cools and gets into another pot and it's been strained, then it's going in the fridge and it's going to sit there. I don't know how long it's going to take to solidify. If, in terms of the grease on top, if I have energy at 7 o'clock, which is another 7 hours from now, I may or may not can it, but I don't think I'm going to have energy because I've already been up since 7. So that would be like 14 hours pretty much being on my feet, because when I got up, I started doing things. And then I did the video and I wanted to sit and just rest for a minute before I came in here. Okay, I want to just show you this. Okay, so I'll show you this, and then I'm going to get on. See, I'm moving slow. Can you see? I'm like an old lady hunched over. I can feel it. And then I get dizzy because of my eyes. Alright, this is the beef. Do you see the water line on that? Where is it? Way down here. It should be, to get the full maximum benefit of your jar, it could have been up into here. So, 160 grams. It needed more meat. But then on the other hand, the bone broth was so rich. It kind of compensated. But for the next round, like, I don't mind this. If anything, I would have preferred just a little bit more broth. Right? Either or. The next round, I'm going to put in, well, I'm going to try 200 grams of beef. I guess beef is heavier, more denser. There we go. Why don't we talk about that? Okay? I filled up the jar with the beef. I thought I had it at capacity, but after it cooked, because it went in raw, if you notice, it wasn't at capacity. So maybe I should have put in 200 grams or maybe 250. Maybe this jar can hold up to 250 grams of beef, but no more than that. And that would be with limited liquid. Okay? Whether it came in from a broth because you pre-cooked the beef, or whether you put the beef in raw and maybe topped it off with just a bit of liquid because, you know, right? You want that liquid. Okay, so either or. Now, and I can definitely feel I can feel the difference in the weight. This one is heavier. Okay, but we have 300 grams of chicken in it. And if you look at this jar, it's perfect. It's perfect in terms of the your you know, your head space, right? Look where it's at. Right at the 1 inch mark. And because you're dealing with a deep, rich bone broth with a whole bird that leached out gelatins, I guess you could say, collagens and that kind of stuff. Whatever liquid is in here, now you see, this is where I can't really see. because this is where things blend together. I'm looking for the liquid. I don't know. I can't, maybe if I look in here, I can see it. No, I can't see shit. Either or, we know there's liquid in it, but the chicken, by density, is lighter than the beef, because honestly, I don't think I could put 300 grams of beef in this and get the same result, because the beef itself is heavier by density than the chicken. Well, that same principle also applies to the human body, right? Where some people are thicker, have larger bone mass, their body, it's not about the fat, the body index thing, that it's the molecule structure that puts us together, where some flesh is denser and heavier than other flesh, but they're both flesh, if that makes sense. Well, that's what I struggle with Amari, because his mom had a lightweight density body metabolism, where Tisha was heavy and very dense. Tisha was the beef, Shimei was the chicken. Just saying. And that I don't know how to explain that in a practical kind of way, where the next caregiver can say, well, I read this, I understand what she says, and I tend to agree based on my own family lineage and and my experience or whatever, right? And therefore, when that caregiver's got doctors saying, well, you need to pump them up with 2,500 calories, because if you don't, you're inferior, and you're under scrutiny to be questioned as to whether you're capable of looking after your whoever it is that you're looking after under those circumstances, right? They can express themselves in a way that makes sense, versus, well, I don't know, she was talking about beef and chicken. My child's the chicken, where so-and-so is the beef. Right? I have to think about it. But it's true, though. That's why we're all different shapes and sizes. Right? Everybody has their own metabolisms and body density. I don't want to call it body mass. It's to do with just the molecule structure of the body in general, and how dense everything is. And just because one is dense and one is lightweight doesn't mean that one is healthier than the other. It just means that there's diversity in there, right? In terms of the human form. Yeah. So I will do this for Amari. I'm going to do it with love. And then I have to figure out how I can write it down into my cookbook to inspire others to feel the same kind of love, to where it motivates them to do it for the ones that they're looking after, versus going the simple route and relying on supplemental drinks, or I don't know, if they can come up with a better system on their own, so be it. More power to you. But it's rough. There's nothing easy about this. And having a bigger and better kitchen would definitely be helpful. But I'm grateful for what I have, and I'm up for the challenge for the day. So I'll be back. Okay, you're rocking and rolling. the first thing you want to do is gather your stuff. Your stuff! The stuff that gets you into trouble. That kind of stuff. Right? And this has been off for a little while, so it's manageable now, right? I won't scald myself. And then you work on taking your bones and whatever out of the pot. I'll put them in this glass after they strain out for a bit. Let those juices go into that pot, because that's the one that's going to go in the fridge after. Now I do have a really nice piece of meat here, so I got to be careful, just a little bit, so I don't bust it up. And Andre wanted, you know, he'd been wanting barbecue sauce, so maybe I'll barbecue that later when I'm rendering the that pork fat from the other pork, and I'll take some of the chicken with that piece of pork, and I'll put barbecue and whatever little bits of pieces that are going to be coming off of these bones, like that, which is really good. Oh, yeah. I'll barbecue that. Yeah, that'll work really good. And if I eat, oh, that's it, game over. By 6, 7 o'clock, if I can get that done, and then I eat, oh boy. As a matter of fact, I could probably get, the bowl is heavy, the pot is lighter. I'm on limited fridge space, so I have to be careful what I do. There's not a lot of broth here, but there's just enough basically for what I need. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. I like it. Definitely do this again. Assuming I can see. That's the hard part of going blind. You can never take things for granted. So I got to put this, I'm thinking maybe in here, but this will be fine because this is lighter than this, right? And I already got a lot of heavy weight in the fridge in terms of the beef and whatever else I've got going on there. So now, and I don't need such a big bowl for that little bit of pork, that's for sure, because there's not that much there. So I'm going to change bowls, so hold on. Okay, so this is where you have to make it kind of fun for yourself, or maybe interesting, or like you're working with royalty or something, you know, like it's important, you know, like you know, you have a right to be able to have quality utensils while you do this stuff, right? So I went out of my way to treat myself, and for two reasons. One, with what I just said, and two, to help Andre start understanding metric between imperial math when it comes to, you know, weight and volume and all that other crap. All right, so this particular, I have another one around. And it's supposed to have a lid. I don't know if it's this one, but I know I have something similar like this where there's a lid. But this one's red, so I'm thinking maybe this is it. So I probably got a red lid kicking around that fits for this. And God forbid if it's been thrown out. And that's why I don't like to throw out lids, because when, you know, things get mixed up, something, right? Okay. Anyway, this is a nice, look how nice this bowl is. Only I don't see it very well. That's my problem in life. For whatever reason, it looks like it's reading backwards. I don't know why I'm looking at it backwards. I see 64, but it's written backwards. Like, what the hell? What's the matter? Oh, you read it from the inside, that's why. So instead of trying to do your liquid, or right, from the out, or whatever you're trying to do on the outside, you actually look on the inside and you do it with the inside line. Yeah, makes sense. This is a Pyrex. Now, apparently, real Pyrex has a capital P. If it doesn't have a capital P, it's kind of like not the original. That's what I heard. It's supposed to have a capital P. So if you have any old Pyrex in your house, look at it and see if it has a capital P. And if it does, it's one of the originals, which is the better of the two. But besides that point, I'm happy to have this. And it goes up to 2,000 milliliters, as well as up to 64 ounces, as well as, I guess that's it. I don't see cups. Oh wait, 8 cups. It goes up to 8 cups. Isn't that just lovely? That's lovely. That's what I mean. Like, when you do stuff like this, like in my book, I'd be like, okay, if you're motivated and you're dedicated and you're sincere to do this because you see the value in it, then reward yourself and go out and buy yourself a few utensils that you really love and appreciate and want to use. Because if you want to use it, then you're going to be more apt to use it, and you're going to get better at your game as you use it. All right. So with that said, I knew I had that one. Because don't forget, we're going to be getting into sourdoughs and whatever. We don't know where we're going to go with the food journey. But we're going down some kind of road here with a whole lot of food in it. But because Andre's going to come in here little by little, surely by surely, and either, well, he'll have to learn first certain things as he goes, because eventually he'll have to take over, right? Because I won't be able to do it. If not for us, Amari and me and himself, at least for himself. I went off and I bought these for 2 reasons. One, for Andre, to when we start getting into making breads and whatever and whatever and whatever, to help him to process the metric and the imperial math when it comes down to this kind of stuff, where he doesn't struggle with it per se, as it's easy to see 48 ounces up to, and then we got, I guess those are milliliters. Yeah, milliliters. And then there's the metric. It even spells the word metric. And they give you 2 different of milliliters. And then we've got the cups, right? And that goes up to 1 cup. Isn't that cute? It's so cute. I couldn't resist it. It was on Walmart discount. And I thought, this is, because I have a plastic one, but, you know, these are nice, eh? You know, they're durable, right? You can put hot and cold, whatever, right? Like hot. You can put really hot, whatever you want. It's great. So, to help Andre, as he's, no, I'm talking about you, how I'm going to get more involved after I'm done putting everything away, and how you're going to be making bread and doing things for Amari, right? Okay, so anyway. Yeah. So I got that, and then also too for me, as because I'm trying to measure, and weigh, and you know, do it in ounces, do it in grams, and do it in cups, depending on the recipe. So it's for me too. It's for me too, right? And then we got the little 2-cup one, which is cute too. It's a matching set. Isn't that cute? Right? Then we've got the 4-cup one, right? And I know there's another one somewhere around here. I don't know where it is. This one here, I'm thinking, is the one that's supposed to have the red lid. but clearly it doesn't have its lid, so I'm going to have to hunt around for it, so I will do that in my travels, right, and hopefully I'll find it. Either or, I'm happy I still have it, and if those go in there, I don't know. Yeah, I guess. My problem is, I really don't have no place for it, so they get buried away and never used, which I'm going to clear out this, what's on that side, for the most part, at least half of it, and then I'm going to be putting containers in that I've been like buying, because we're going to be doing a lot of prep work once or twice a week. Like I said, a big thing of mashed potatoes, a container full of different gravies, 2 or 3 different gravies or whatever we're doing for the week kind of thing. And then if Andre wants to have a fried potato bean burger with some onions, for example, with a little bit of gravy, it's easy enough to go get the tray, scoop out the mashed potatoes, right? And then if you wanted to add some bean mush to mix it up with an egg and flour it, right, or whatever, right? It'd be easy for him to do. Whether he does it for himself, for me, and then for me with Amari, it's easy to go and, right? Okay. So I had to buy the containers for that because, you know, it's stacking and just space, and I don't want plastic containers, and so yeah, I'm going to be clearing out in there for that kind of stuff. So because I had to get this pot, I came across that big one. So if you're going to do something like this, by all means, you know, set yourself up where you are feeling, doesn't that look good? Good about, oh man. Like this, for example. That other bowl is too heavy. I like to suck out the juices. And this one, you can bite into it and it's busting up. I mean, you can eat some of it. That's what I do. Oh man, that's so good. And then if you want, you can rinse them off and dehydrate them and then bust them up and put them in your food. Put them into your cat's food if you make cat food. This is cute, isn't it? It was in there where that was. I've been hanging on to it for years. It's one of those hoarding moments. Well, this is where I'm going to, I think this might be just big enough. Well, it's hard to say. Maybe not. I might have to use this. Yeah. I was going to put it in here, and then we were going to talk about how the gelatin would be really deep on the bottom. You get different layers, right? But we'll see. We don't have to worry about that right now. Oh. See, I could stand here and do this. I'm happy just with the bones. That was the knuckle. Oh my God. These things are completely deteriorating. Oh wow. I could bust that. Well, you can't give your cats too much like that. You can only give them, what is it, if you made cat food? 10%, 20% of the food only can be a bone matter. Either or. Okay, one other thing I want to mention on is this dehydrating of potatoes. Now, I've done 2 more batches since last time I talked about that, and I'm in the middle of doing one right now, to which I used fresh homo milk, right? And as it's dehydrated, and I do got it on about 135, as it's dehydrating, I'm getting that same kind of I don't know, it's like a sour cream smell. It's not a bad smell. It's just, I think when you put milk in it, because it takes a while for it to dehydrate, right? You're gonna get that, but it doesn't. You're not ruining it. It's just. Now the next batch, I finished what I got from Walmart with the 20 pounds of white potatoes. It's dehydrating now, and I've got this one right here. Okay, so this is almost full, right? Then I'm getting back into the russet potatoes and the 20 pounds of red potatoes. So I still probably got another 40 pounds or so to go. And it's about 10 pounds per pop, right? So at least 4 more times, but it won't be a full case. So you know me, right? I'll be like, oh, I'll need an excuse to go shopping online even though I'm not supposed to, and I'll use potatoes as the excuse. But I don't have my full case yet. I have to buy potatoes. I know I can get a good deal. Right? How the mind connives, right? And, but the next batch, I don't need to do it for a couple of days because that has to dehydrate. And then I got to do this, and then I got to grind them up. So I'm good for a couple of days anyway. But the next batch that I do, I'm actually thinking of just using that, what is it called? It's going to be a long day. That, potato water with the starch, and maybe I'll just bypass the milk for the next round just to see as it's dehydrated. Now, mind you, it's a russet potato, but I think it does it with any potato. I don't know. I'm not that experienced with it yet, but I'm gonna try one batch without any yeah, see, that's a big pot for such little broth, but it's just enough broth for what I need. Yeah, no milk. I'm just going to use potato starch and potato water when I mash it, and just see if I get the same kind of smell. Because, you know, just curious. But the next one after that, I'd probably use the milk because I'd want the extra nutrients. Yeah, I would. And if you vacuum seal your jars after the fact, you lock it in. Okay, that's not a lot of liquid, but that's just... So that bowl that I was just talking about here, it might actually hold that, which would be nice to put in the fridge. Because then when it comes out, you can see exactly what's going on in terms of where the fats are as it solidifies. But I think it might be just a little bit too much. So, hold on. Okay, so I had the right bowl all along. I like these bowls. These are mixing bowls for my old school mixer. I went over there. Anyway, this size would have been too small. So, even though I don't see very well, I can still kind of guesstimate at this point. It's going to be a sad day, people, when I do get into maybe a nicer kitchen when I move, because that ain't going to happen while I'm here. I mean, I can do things as I go about clearing out stuff, but it would never be my quote-unquote ideal kitchen. And if I ever got to that point where I moved and the house happened to have an ideal kitchen, I'd be so blind by that time, I wouldn't even be able to see it. So this one here is nice because after it all solidifies and everything, we're gonna talk about the different fats, right? And if you notice the colors, again, it's nothing like as if you were to buy it in a grocery store. You know, this one even has color. Okay. Okay, so that was basically the meat from the pork bones, and that little piece there, there's 2 little pieces I'm going to put the barbecue sauce on, right? There was no chicken outside of maybe little teeny weeny bits of it from the back and that type of thing. Outside of that, no, just the bigger bones, that was it. So that's going in the fridge. And then that's temporarily, right? I'll barbecue that with a bit of chicken that's already cooked. Now this is, if you notice, the grease is already coming to the surface, right? But it's going to take a while. So if you're unsure about how warm, you know, hot and cold clash, you don't want to break the tempered glass in your fridge. So even if it's just kind of warm, which is kind of warm, you know, there's going to be pockets of heat in there, eh? So, right, put that on a cutting board in the fridge. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to plan, I'm actually even thinking, I don't know if it would be worth to do a 75-minute can with just the pork by itself, but it would be helpful for me to just get it over with and be done with it today, by the end of the day, right? However long that is, who knows. And then this way I have more room for the canner for the beef, because I do have a fair amount of beef, and you know, obviously I'm going to be canning any leftover broth, right? So I may can up the pork, because things are, you know, it's a lot of prep work and, you know, just whatever. I think it's still early. This clock says 1:30 old time. With the new time put back, it should be reading 12:30, but I'm on a 1:30 schedule here because my body hasn't adjusted to the time change yet, right? I may very well, because after I put this in the fridge, I'm bringing out the pork, which I'll turn on the camera and I'll show you, and then we're going to render it like I talked about, right? As this is continuing to stew, right? And then what's going to happen is, once the pork is rendered, this should be enough for me to take off the fat that I want anyway. It doesn't have to sit all night. But in a few hours from now, sitting in the fridge, it should be suffice. So technically, I'd have the pork and the pork chicken broth, right? Basically pork though, right? To can. And so while it's canning, this can still do what it's doing, because I want it to, right? And then, because I have my little teeny weeny workspace here, right? I can cut up those 2 big pieces of beef. Hear me now, right? And then after as the pressure, because I got to do the 75-minute dance anyway, right? So that will give me an opportunity to cut up that meat. And then one of them, what I would do before I went to sleep, more than likely, or maybe I'll do it tomorrow. It doesn't really matter when I do it. Anyway, cut the meat, both packs. And we know that one full pack, after it's been cut, is going to be put into this bone broth to enrich it. And it's going to enrich it, trust me. And then when I do that, that's actually the perfect time to can it then. But the problem with that, though, is it's going to be hot. So it's going to be harder to weigh it out into grammage, whereas if it's raw, it's easier to pack the jars, right? So if I pre-do it, get the broth going, like infuse the bone broth with the meat, then take out the meat, let it cool, and then put the meat that's already been cooked in this, and then put the bones back, right? And then continue to enrich it over the night, kind of thing, with the bones till tomorrow, so that when I get up in the morning tomorrow, I'm dealing to nothing but beef. Just have to strain the bones, basically, and cool down my broth. I can weigh out my pre-cooked beef that's been sitting into the fridge. I can weigh it out into grammage, into the jars, as well as I can also pack my raw pack jars, and then use a moderate to lukewarm broth to fill up the jars, both of them a little bit. Mainly the one mainly the one that was cooked, because that one you have to go right to the headspace line, which is about an inch from the jar, right? a quarter, 1 1/4 inch, depending on what you're doing. And whereas the beef one, you know, I'm going to put more grammage into it. Instead of 160, I'm going to do 200 at least, maybe 225. If I can get 250 in there, which I don't think I can because it's more denser than the chicken for whatever reason. Anyway, then I would use that broth for that, and then I would just can everything all together, and hopefully I don't even know if my canner will fit that all, unless of course maybe I do a few pint-sized jars just to cut to the chase, so that because I can do eight of these on the bottom, 8 of these on the top. I want a full case for sure, so you're looking at 12. Plus I got a couple of either or. We'll just see how it goes. And then these are the jars that I've been getting with Amari's juice. And you can also get them in apple juice too, right? This is what I'm going to attempt to can the juice that I am going to be making after this. Because the plums are already in the fridge and I got to get on it. So I kind of have to do this back to back to back over the next few days. So that's why I'm thinking to maybe just can the pork after it's all said and done, because that, you know, you give me an opportunity to cut the meat and get it ready. Whether I put it in there for, because when you infuse your meat into your broth or water or whatever you're doing, you only need to bring it to a boil, and then just let it cook for a few minutes, and then take it out. That's it. And your liquid, oh man, it would be so tasty. You don't even know. I love it. I like. How many times does that have to happen? And as if I can see where it bloody fell. You see, I can't. Nope. Now I have to feel around for it. Oh my God. Good luck finding it. Oh Lord. Well, anyway. So I'm going to, oh, and I wanted to mention this. Andre gave me this can. Now it's been sitting on my counter for a while. And I've been looking at it, debating whether I should throw it out, open it up, and see if it's still good. Because I'm disgusted with these pull tabs in general. I talked about it before. But this can, this is what it did to itself. Do you see this? And I think the longer it sits on my counter, the more it's tending to buckle. The buckle is getting deeper. Do you see this? So, it looks swollen only because it's buckling. But it's not leaking. I asked Andre, do you see any leaks on it? He said no. So you can eat food from a dented can. It's just, you know, you have to be careful, right? So more than likely it's fine. Look at this. Look how it's denting. That's crazy. This is doing it on its own. That's deep. Look. That's how much of my baby pinky. Where am I? Anyway. Yeah. That's crazy. So maybe we'll open this up and take a boo. I don't know. I can't afford to get sick. I don't think it would be bad. Honestly, I don't. If it was leaking or something, then yeah, maybe. I'd say so. But this has been sitting for a long time. So if it was going to leak, it would have leaked by now. More reason to do stuff like this. Yeah. See, I don't have a lot of counter space. Okay, I'm just saying. So that's that pork. Now, I am going to treat it as if I was rendering pork fat. And I wanted crackling, okay? Basically. Only this crackling is going to be... these are useless, but... anyway, this crackling is going to be a little larger because it's going to... and it's not going to be crackling because I'm not going to overcook it. But I am definitely going to degrease. Do you see? These little pieces of fat that I cut off the bone like meat with the fat. So I'm not going to worry about the fat because we're going to render some of it anyway, right? So basically, I kind of want small chunks again, like I did with that beef. And I am going to can this today. As soon as it's rendered, I'm sure the broth will be good enough to degrease. And I may or may not, what do you call it? Can some of the beef, because if I cut the beef before this is done, the first batch, take out the bones, right, basically, and then infuse the meat, bring it to a boil, saturate the liquid, and then I can use that as a bone broth for whatever I take out and immediately can it, right along with the pork, which will give me a fuller canner. And then tomorrow, and then after that was said and done, I'd take the bones and I'd put them back into the pot, put the lid on, and I'd stew it basically right until tomorrow. But the thing about that is you have to be kind of careful though, because if you cook bones, especially beef bones, I think mostly, well, any bone really, for too long, like if you go into day 3, it starts to change the taste of the broth, right? So that would be the only reason why I wouldn't do what I just said, is because with the broth being already enriched and then the bones cooking for another, we'll say 24 hours till tomorrow, right? You know, but by time I take the bones out, do what I got to do, put the bones back, and then if I keep it on 3 or whatever with just a very, right, throughout the night, it should be fine, and then turn it off in the morning. It should be perfect. It really should be. And because I've already infused that flavor from the first batch that I canned maybe today, then that will be the broth that I will use tomorrow when I can the rest of the beef, because I have to be credit. And it's not going to fill up my whole canner, but I've got some beets out of my porch, 10-pound bag of beets that should be still good. And I wouldn't mind putting those in jars with just straight up water and a little bit of salt. I don't care if it's 75 minutes, probably 75 minutes for a pint. I'd have to double check it to be sure, right? And even if it went a little longer than 75 minutes, which I don't think it would, but, you know, another 5, 10, 15 minutes for that beef to be sitting in a canner isn't going to make much of a difference. Like, I'm not like completely anal about, well, it says 75 minutes. You can't go past 75 minutes because you're going to ruin your food. No, that's not what I think. Right? So I'm thinking, because it's bothering me, those beets are out there, right? Because I just haven't had time, eh? And I'd love to, because I just wanted them for this kind of stuff that I'm doing, right? And they were cheap. So I bought them in bulk, right? And yeah, so I might do that. So if I'm going to be canning this pork, I'd like, Andre, be quiet. Andre, be quiet. If I'm going to be canning this pork, which more than likely I will, because I got to do these plums, right? And whatnot. What do you call it? Then I might as well do one roast. Get my broth ready. And as I'm pressure canning the pork and the beef, then I cut the other beef. But that one's going in the fridge, and it's going to be weighed raw into the jars with the broth after the fact. That would be good. Now, I'm not taking away this fat, do you see? Because we're rendering it, right? We want the fat, okay? For frying after the fact, okay? And so we're going to leave all the fat, and some of it will come off more than other pieces, depending on the type of fat it is. And I'm basically just going to cook this pork on 250 as if I was rendering crackling that maybe had a little bit of meat on it. Only I'm not going to overdo it where it really becomes crackling. And that's what I'm going to can. So I'm going to be canning fatty pork, which for Amari is ideal, being blended into his food. But keep in mind, it's also been degreased. Okay. And I don't know how many grammages. I'm not going to get a lot of jars here because of what do you call it? There's not. It was only one tray of pork because I bought it for the bones. I didn't buy it for the meat. But see, this is really fatty right here. You can see, but it's delicious. So in that situation, you just want to render it because it would be too much to can it. All right. So I think so because some days I have energy. Like right now, and because I have energy and I suppose motivation, we're doing this for Amari, right? And I ain't going to throw away. It cost me $70 for the 2 roasts, I think. Yeah. One came in at 43, the other one came in at, I don't know what, 27 or something like that. So it was like $41, $42, or no, sorry, $70, $71 for the 2 roasts. And then I paid almost $20 for the spare ribs, so that's 70, 80, 90. I'm not sure if they charge me for the beef bones because nowhere does it say, from what I could see on my bill, beef bones, 2 packs, never mind 1. And I couldn't see it on my order online either, so I don't know whether they gave me the beef bones for free or not. But we'll just say another $12, so that's 90, that's 102. $102. You know, you need to be motivated for that, right? No time to get tired, eh? You can't feel this, right? So I'll have this done by tomorrow night, no problem. Including probably beets too, which will make me feel really good. And then as soon as that's done, we'll give Alondra a little bit of downtime because he wants to go outside and play with his friend. And then, yeah, I'll be getting into the juice. Apple prune juice. Yeah. And then I should not be canning anything more until these things that I'm making are disappearing. When I'm at the halfway mark, down to half of what I got after I got the chicken, got the turkey, got the beef, got a little bit of pork. Obviously, we got fish. I can't ham in salmon-sized jars, but I wouldn't give that to Amari as a staple because those jars are meant for crock pots, and there's not a lot of nutritional value in hams and stuff like that because you're getting into your processed foods, right? Where this one here, we already did the calorie count on it and the vitamin list of what's available, right? And for the most part, I haven't wasted not a single stitch of this yet. Like nothing has gone to waste. Absolutely nothing. And that's another reason why you want to kind of start doing things maybe this way, because you tend to not really waste anything. Because what you're not using somewhere over there, you can use it over there. Like the grease that I'm going to be rendering. I can use that to fry something. Right? And with the cost of living and the way it is, and just with what they're doing with food in general, it tastes better. And it's better for you if you can homegrown it. Make it yourself. Right. So basically, this is what you want to do. Right? Okay? And then that helps when it's that size. It also helps to release the fat sooner from the meat itself, right? And it goes faster. Yeah. And it's better. But technically, and I have learned this, when it starts releasing its juice, you got to be careful. When it starts releasing, because first when you do this, when you put it in the oven, it will start releasing its juices. And, you can come in and you can scoop up the juices, eh? And in that situation, I just take those juices before they evaporate in the oven, and I toss them in there, right? But when it starts to degrease, you don't want to take out the grease. You want to let it sit there and accumulate until the process is almost done. Because if you take it out too soon, thinking you're speeding up the process or whatever you think you're doing, it's going to actually do the opposite, where, what do you call it? Your fat will stop rendering. It needs fat to render fat. Yeah, I noticed that. So even though you're tempted to take some of the grease, don't take it out until you're done rendering as much as from whatever you're doing, right? In this situation, I'd probably render out at least half of the fat and leave the other fat, half of the other fat, what remains, and I'd can that with the broth that's been degreased. And then in that way, you know, you're getting a lot of nutrients and calories in general, period. Right? And that will work good with the Amari. No nitrates, right? Very little salt. Natural flavors when it comes to a chicken, you know, bones and whatever. A few pieces of ginger, maybe the garlic slipped through, who knows. Other than that, it's really good stuff. Oh, and I am tired, but I just had a wave. Ooh. And I'm like, no. You just got to keep going. Right? Get this over with, because I am tired of doing this. But it is important to do this. So how to motivate people to do this for their children? How to motivate whoever's going to look after Amari when I can't do it no more to do this? I don't know. Because if I get a good little system going, and then all of a sudden, because my life is being cut short, because that's what's happening here, and I can't do this no more, and it's not, see, I will render this, okay? That one's going to render out really nice, especially if you cut it small, okay? And, yeah, I don't know what I was saying prior to that, but, oh yeah. I can't see very well, so it's hard, right? It's draining on the brain, you know. It's so frustrating, and it makes you tired faster. It really does. Now, mind you, I've been up since 7 o'clock this morning, and I only had about 4 hours sleep, and I've been going pretty steady for the last while. So of course I'd be tired, and of course I haven't been eating very well because I'm busy. I've been eating Mr. Vicky chips. Right. So, anyway, I'll be back. Okay, so I'm almost done cutting this. You know, I wanted to mention that what's happened is my life has become lack of luster. I have no luster in my life. I don't see luster. I don't see nothing. I'm like an old crow that was attracted to glittery things, and then I got bad eyesight, and you know, nothing looks glittery anymore, right? It's all dull and gray. Lackluster, right? So it's hard when you have to work around that. So now I did not grind this per se in terms of making a fatty ground pork and canning it that way and then trying to degrease it, I suppose, in a frying pan, you know, to but this is rendering. There's a difference between rendering, which is a slow release of the fat. And like I said, when it starts releasing, you can see there's fat and it's releasing. Don't take it out. Just let everything sit. You know, you can move it around a little bit if you want to just, you know, distribute the heat, but don't take it out. And it's a completely different method and an end result than if you were to fry it. You're not going to get the same kind of lard, right? This one is like, you know, a frying lard, where the other one is maybe not so much, because I don't know, it's different. So there, we got one little tray. This is enough. That's all I need. But as you can see here, ew. As you can see, I'm trying to be positive here, people. Okay, I'm ignoring the fact that my landlady's been emotionally, psychologically abusing me. Anyway, it's, you know, I don't want to get depressed, right? You can see it's just a 8x8 little glass, right? Now you can, if you want, put a little teeny weeny bit of water in there so it doesn't so-called scorch. But it's at 250, so I think, yeah, 250. You can do it at 225.
No, I found a henchman.
225
Yeah.
or 250. I'm doing it at 250 because I don't have all day. And if I have to, I'll turn it up to 175 if it's taking too long. Right? But it buys me a few hours anyway because I'm not defatting it right down to the bone, right? If I can get 3-4 hours out of it in the oven doing this, and you know, and then that gives me time to deal with Amari. I have to feed Amari, change Amari, all that. I want to see how the Pampers are, because I bought Pampers. I bought like 4 different boxes, or 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 different types of Pampers for Amari, because I can't stand Huggies because it's just leaking everywhere all the time. And I tried the night diaper last night. Andre said it's still holding up. When he was younger, I used to get Pampers, and then when he got into size 4, they switched it to Huggies. I don't like Huggies. So I spent a fair amount of money. I'm like to myself, because you know I'm buying. Credit. So don't get any ideas. What do you call it? Walmart, right? You know, they know me after people that in these distributing centers. They know who I am, right? Because my name popping up all the time when I'm buying this, buying that, and it's like all of a sudden, what the hell? Why is she buying 4 boxes of diapers after all this time? Like, because you know they don't know why I buy the things I buy. Never mind, never once have I ever bought diapers, but if I like these diapers, then that's going to be, you know, another thing that I'll very rarely ever get from the government from that point forward, outside of maybe the 7 boxes that they give me of Huggies that I might spread out over a period of 4 or 5 months in between the Pampers that I'm buying because they're better. And even then, I don't want a bunch of boxes sitting around and bags sitting around because I don't have no room for it. Plus, I do, after everything's figured out, I don't know how long that's going to take, I do want to put Amari into cloth diapers for a half a day, right? Like, for 12 hours out of the day, I'd like him to be in cloth. But I'm just not there yet, people. And again, you need a diaper bucket, and, you know, it's better to have a proper wash machine, and, you know, like, it's not, right? And, like, I have to do laundry after I'm done doing this crap right there in my sink. I need to do it now. It should be in the laundry room being done while I'm doing this, but I'm being put back behind because I have to do this first, and this is going to take hours between doing the meats and da-dee-dee-da-da-da. Yeah. So hopefully I'll have enough energy to at least put 1 load of laundry on by the end of the night. And then I'm too tired to take it out and hang it up. Fuck. Because I'm already tired. This is important. You know. It's very, very, very important. And I know that when I get it all figured out, it's going to be so much better. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I just got my little order from Amazon here. Remember I was talking about those jars? Okay, these I've had now. I have to wash them, right? And then I'm going to start filling them up. So anyway, I ended up buying this tomato powder because I'm going to be making, like I said, my own gravy mixes. And with one of the beef gravy mixes, I want to use some tomato powder. So I bought this off of Amazon because you can't really kind of find this stuff in grocery stores, especially in bulk, right? And like this is like a pound or something like that. 570 grams. So it's a little over a pound, right? And there's plenty in there. So I think it's just tomatoes. I don't think it's anything else but. Calorie count is only 30 for 1 tablespoon. Right, and it's got a few vitamins in there. I don't know. So anyway, I was thinking to maybe try and make my own I'm looking to see what the ingredients are on this, but I don't. It should be just tomatoes, right? Oh, ingredients. Where does it say ingredients? Oh, who knows? You can't see shit. Ingredients. Tomatoes. That's it. That's all it is. So I went off and I bought tomato paste. This size can. I've got a few of those. Plus I've got the little Hunt's ones, right? So I thought after I'm done with the potatoes and everything, and I got cheese I still have to dehydrate, right? I thought I'd try and dehydrate this to see if I can make this versus having to order this. Either or, I'm going to take some of this and I'm going to put it in there. And what I don't use will go in a different jar. These jars are hard to find, right? And then vacuum seal it and put it away, right? Before I vacuum seal it and put it away in this, I use as many as I want for what I'm doing, and then anything left over after the fact, yeah. And then, because I did the starch thing, cornstarch, arrowroot flour, I guess you could say, tapioca starch flour, I guess you could say, and yeah, arrowroot, tapioca, cornstarch, and I bought small tapioca pearls, very tiny, eh? I couldn't find no big ones, nowhere. Walmart didn't have them, T&T didn't have them, they had black ones, but I wanted clear ones, and Canadian Superstore didn't have them, so I had to order them offline. Now, I suppose if I went to a Punjabi store, which I want Tisha to take me to because I really miss it and I like it, and I haven't been there for well over a year because I don't ever get out. Maybe they might have them, and next time I go there, I'm going to ask her to drive me at some point just to take me there, just so I can look around and top off what I want to top off, if I want to top off anything. Because from what I can tell right now, these are not large. These are the same size I already have, and I am so mad. This is not what I wanted. This is not large. This is small. I already have small. I'm pissed. I wanted the big bubbles. Oh, I'm going to complain. I bought 2 of them, and I already have, because I bought from Canadian Superstore a whole whack of them. So, you know, some things you can't find that much anymore, eh? Not like in the good old days. And when you do, they come in with that tiny town shit, right? Where everything's getting smaller and smaller and smaller in terms of size. And, you know, the flavors are changing and just the whole 9 yards. You know, things are changing, right? I don't like it. It's not right. Companies are like, I don't know. Okay, so I fell asleep. Andre got to go outside and play with his little friend. And then I fell asleep. And now it's, this clock says, oh my God, 20 after 11 p.m. which is 10 o'clock with the time put back. But besides that point, so anyway, I'm having a coffee and now I'm waking up. I keep weird hours. Okay, so what I've done here, this was in the oven rendering at 250. So right now, it's meaty, right? And we took off the fat that we didn't want basically in the jar. You can see that, okay? So that can go in the fridge and you can fry with that. And then this is the gelatin from it after I took it out and it's settled, right? And I just skimmed it off, okay? So even if there's a couple of little impurities in it, it's okay because of this in terms of impurity. It won't matter because it's going to be fried up anyway. Where this is not so much grease as it is the, you know, the, what is it called? The broth of the beef, right? Or pork. This is pork. And it's delicious. So if you wanted to dehydrate that, if you wanted to dehydrate that, you could, and then, you know, you'd make yourself a little bouillon cube, right? But in this situation, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it in this pot for flavoring. Right? Oh. Now, this is the first time that I've opened this lid, and it smells like beef. I can smell it. Right? It smells like beef bones with the marrow. I don't know what it tastes like, so we're going to taste it, because it's been like this since, I don't know, 7:30 this morning. Now, the only thing that it tastes like is beef bones. Alright. So I'm just going to put that in there for a little bit of flavoring. And, and then when I'm going to cut the beef now, right? I'm waking up now, eh? I'll be up, I don't know, who knows how long. I'm not going to can it. I'm just going to get the beef all cut up. I don't want to be canning at 4 or 5 in the morning. But I'll probably be up for a few hours yet, now that I had a sleep. So what I'm going to do is clear this off, and I'm going to start cutting up the beef and getting it ready, so that when I do go to sleep, I'll have just a few hours sleep or whatever, however long my body wants to sleep. And then immediately get up and get on with the canning part of it, right? And because that's going to stew until morning, which would be a 24-hour period, it's even going to get a little more richer. But what's going to make it really flavorful is when I take one roast after cutting it up, after I take the bones out, right? And what do you call it? Bring it to a boil. Just boil it for a couple of minutes and then turn it off. And then take the meat out, and what was in that bowl in terms of that broth from the meat itself is going to just take that to a whole new level, right? And it's going to be really, really, really flavorful. And then that's the broth that I'm going to use between the two beefs, and plus we've got the pork broth, which in this situation is going to be too much for this, right? Because that's not very much, eh? But then whatever is left over will just go in a pint-sized jar and be canned up as pork broth, because that pork broth is really tasty. So that's what I'm going to do. Hold on. Okay, so for $19 in those short ribs, you don't really get that much in terms of quote-unquote meat. That's pretty much the meat, and it's really, really good. That pretty much is the fat, which is really, really good for frying, right? And then, of course, we've got the bone broth. So this is only going to make, oh, I don't know, people, not that much. Maybe 3 jars, right? With the bone broth. So clearly we're going to get more bone broth than we are this, but that's okay, right? I'm happy. I bought the short ribs for the bones, because after the fact, if I wanted to, I could combine the pork broth with the beef broth and just can like this, or I can keep the pork broth, which I probably will because it's really delicious, right? Separate. And I'll probably get 2 or 3, maybe 4 jars. Well, no, maybe 3. 2 for sure, right? Which is, you know, good, eh? So that, you know, for $19, like, right? But that's where your nutrients are. That's where your calories are, right? So, you know, that's just the way it is. Now, mind you, you can buy pork cheaper than what I paid for these spare ribs. These, you know, short ribs or whatever they're called. But I wanted the bones. So I basically bought it for the bones, right? And this I can spread out between Well, I can probably spread this out between 3 to 5 jars.
Lisa McCauley hadn't done anything wrong. And
These
this was
ones.
just wrong. He said, I lost the guy I used to go out with.
So after it's all said and done, what I'm going to do is I am going to, what do you call it? Tally up my cost, not including my jars, because I had to send Andre to go get me some more jars because I only had, I like the salmon sized jars. I do. For this kind of stuff, right? For Amari's, so I had to go, and these are expensive. When I die, or when I can't see no more, and my son wants to come in and start doing whatever my son thinks he's going to do, if he starts throwing out jars, he's going to be a real fucking fool. Seriously. Andre come back, he said, Mom, Nana, they were $23. Was that including tax, or was that the bill? The jars, was it a total of $23? Or was it just, that's how much they were charging for them?
They were not 23, they were 25. Actually, 22.
22, and then there was, and then the,
Tax.
and then tax?
Yeah.
So the total was $25?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, $25 for 12 jars. And my son may or may not want to throw them out. Haste makes waste. Be a foolish man, right? Some people are just fools. Anyway, so I got 24 of these now, and a few miscellaneous ones kicking around, right? And then I got this size, which is the same grammage, sorry, milliliters, 250 mil, 250 mil. Only I want this one for Amari stuff, right? They're a little cheaper, these ones, depending on whether they have decorations or not. And I got them coming through Walmart being delivered as backup for whatever, if I want to do something else after this. But after I'm done with this meat, the only thing I want to do is the juice, right? As soon as this is done, I'm doing the juice, and then I'm going to take the big canner, the pressure canner, and I'll put it downstairs. It's out of sight, out of mind. And and then after Amari drinks some of the juice that I make, I have that other water bath canner with the little temperature thing. I've never used it yet, so before I bring up the pressure canner again and use that, I'm going to try maybe the other one. But besides that point, okay. So, and after this is all said and done with the meat, right? We paid what, how much was it? 103 or something like that between the pork and the beef. And then we have to factor in the jars, $50 for 2 cases of jars, right? But once you get the jars, you're good to go, eh? You don't have to worry about lids. That's it. Anyway, this is one roast. You can see. So now I've got 2 of them. This one's the smaller one, and this one's the bigger one. That one's smaller, and this one's bigger. You can see, right? So that's $70 worth of beef. Now, I don't like doing things at night anymore because it's hard it's like because of my eyes. It's hard, but this is just cutting beef, and I got a little bit of energy because I had that little sleep. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to cut both of them now and get them ready for tomorrow, right? And I told you what I'm going to do. Half of it is going to be cooked up with the broth to enrich the broth, and the other half will stay raw going into the jar and then filled up a little bit with the broth, and then the leftover broth will go with the beef that was already cooked, right? Because you have to remember, when you cook these things and you put them in the fridge, you've basically released all their juices, right? And with that, when you put them back into a jar and fill it up with a bit of liquid, they're going to be like that turkey breast or that chicken breast. They're going to absorb the liquid, right? So you give it a little rest as you topping things off. But this time, I'm going to try and fill up the jar with more grammage, right? And I'm going to weigh them out. And yeah, that's because it's, I'm working on Amari's cookbook and a little system where you're kind of getting an idea how many calories you're getting per serving, depending on how you divvy it up between his meals. Now, again, I'm going to cut these a little smaller. I don't want to grind them. I could grind it up, but I find that I don't really like canning per se, ground up meats, because it's hard to, it absorbs all the liquid, right? Where if I cut them into smaller cubes, I'm able to get a bit more liquid. And with Amari, we want that bone broth. We really do. So that's what I'm working on now. So that's why, right, I'm cutting them a little smaller cubes. So basically, after I'm done this, see, I can't see, man. That's the problem. And of course, the cutting board is the same color pretty much as the beef, which makes it even harder, But whatever, you do what you can. It's not a big deal. It's just whatever. You just work around it, right? So after I cut the beef, it's going to go back into the pot, and I'm going to wash the jars to get everything ready to go, so that when I get up in the morning, basically within the first hour of being up, I'll probably start getting ready to can, and hopefully I'll have this done by 1 o'clock tomorrow, right? I don't know. I have to see how many. I might have to do it 2 times because of the amount in terms of the broth and everything. There's only so many jars you can get into a canner, right? But if I find that I have to do a second can, which more than likely I'll have to, then that's when I'll do those beets, assuming that they're still okay, right? Just to, add a few more jars, and then I'll just do the beets in 500 ml jars, which would make me really happy. And then the next day, I start working on the plums and the apples, because I'm going to make an apple plum, and that's assuming that the plums are okay in the fridge, which they should be, right? And they're just going to get steamed anyway, and I'm going to can the juice for Amari to cut back on my costs with that organic prune juice. See how that works out. And if that works out pretty good, then every couple of months, as I'm giving him this juice, and I'll continue to buy what I'm buying, but I just won't be using it as much as I am, as if I can go half with what I made and half with what I bought. So if it's costing me, we'll just say $100 a month, we'll just say, because I'm not quite sure yet. I just know that 5 bottles of this juice is like $62, and Amari can drink a bottle within 3 days, 4 days or whatever it is. So we'll just round it off at $100 a month, just to be on the safe side. Because I've been giving it to him fairly regularly. If I can cut that cost down by half and take that other $50 and buy fruit and get double the amount of juice with me making it myself, repurposing my jars, whether I'm using those juice jars or whether I'm using mason jars, doesn't matter, right? Then that's good. And that's, and then I'm going to try and write it into the cookbook as a guide for people to do their prep work in advance, have their, be able to budget around the special needs of whoever they're taking care of. Because this, this could be for an elderly person or something too, Depends, right? It doesn't have to be for a disabled child. Like my old landlord, Wally. I'm thinking of Wally. We could be doing this for Wally. Helping Pam and her sons to look after a Wally if she's struggling, right? For whatever reason. I'm just saying. And that's another thing, these people that don't deal with disabled people, like my landlady, she doesn't have to deal with this. I'm not saying that she's never looked after anybody that's been in this situation like Amari, but it's, until you go through it and you're faced with it, you don't necessarily fully appreciate what other people have to go through, and the last thing I need is to be in fear over a fucking rotten porch or broken down pipes and stupid shit like that. Never mind facing freaking homelessness with the other 10,000 people within my local area because of what Punjabis and those kind of people are doing to the community for the, in terms of property development and all that crap. No, it's a fucking scheme, people. It's not property development. It's a fucking scheme to get rich for a select group of people that, came up in a different time when houses were affordable and they had different opportunities compared to what people have today, and they forget from where they come from. You see, that's the thing. They forget the breaks that they got when they were coming up and were able to purchase houses and at an affordable rate, and Anyway, so I'm cutting these fat and all. That's what we want, right? It's not a lot, but again, I'm cutting them at about a half an inch in size. I don't want to grind it up, but then I don't want big chunks either, because I've already got plenty of jars like that in terms of 1 inch, 1.5 inch chunks when I want that, right? This is completely different. I just want to do it this way. So now I'm glad I had my little nap. I'm motivated to wash my jars, get everything ready, get up in the morning, get on with it. I'll probably do 2 sessions with the canner tomorrow. Once it's done, it's done. Now I solved one problem, and I created myself another problem in regards to I really have no place to put these jars. I don't want to put them downstairs because, I don't go downstairs that much anymore. And I have to rearrange what's going on down there anyway. And I don't want to get locked away from it. Now I'm being locked out basically from the basement. I don't want to go down there and find that it's been moved or whatever, So I have to get up into my room, and I have no room in my room, and I've already taken out a lot of fabric, And I might have to try and take out some more, and I don't know. But I have to kind of find a new place somewhere in my room, somehow, some way, because that's the problem now. Where am I going to put these jars? Where they're all kind of together, you know, in terms of their Amari's jars with his food in it, so that if I want chicken, I know where it is. If I want turkey, I know where it is. If I want the beef, I know where it is. If I want the pork, I know where it is, because I'm going to be flipping them around on a weekly basis, more than likely. Even if I use just 1 jar a week, in combination of whatever Andre and I are eating, because, you know, right? Or 2 jars a week, because I want to give him meat almost daily, if not 2 times a day, in small portions, because he needs that. That's what he needs, right? In my opinion. But you have to make it where it's available and easy to utilize it, because it's too hard to come in here and cook these meals for Amari. You know, because you don't always have access to meat like this, right? Where the way I'm doing it, I can go in and grab 2 jars a week as a supplement to what we're eating throughout the week. And because right now at this point he's kind of small, so 1 jar I can spread out between 2 to 3 meals depending on the type of meat that it is, right? I can give him more chicken and turkey in one sitting than I can with the beef, right? And if I can get him eating some kind of meat, regardless of what it is, every day, in combination of anything else that's being fed to him, then yeah, I think that would be really good for him. I do. I turn him into a little carnivore, right? What does Mari eat? Oh, he's a meat eater. That's all he eats is meat, meat, meat. Well, how is that possible? Well, because we got him on a regime. Yeah. So we're doing this for Amari. The bigger he gets, eventually, a jar this size, the bigger he gets, assuming that his system can digest it, he could have that size of amount in terms of 200 grams or what. I don't know, like, I'm not too sure. But, you know, you could adjust the size of the amount as he grows. And that would be applicable to anybody. Right? So yeah, 2 jars a week. 1 for sure. Start off with the 1. And, you know, try and bring it up to 2. And then I figure as the jars are emptying out, I'm just going to put them back in the case from where they came from. So I'll take them back into my room, put them into the case, empty. And then as the case is emptying out, when you're getting down to 3/4 gone, and you're down to the last 1/3 left, or 1/4 left of jars. So if you got 12 jars and you used 8 of them and you're down to 4 left, that's when you go off and you can another batch. Right? And because you're putting the jars back into the case after the fact, it should be easy to manage that, I would think. Yeah, that's the way I'm going to do it. Like, I don't know what's going to happen when I can't see anymore. Like, seriously, you just don't know. Because it's not like I can pay somebody to come and do this. Nobody's going to want to come and do this. And if they do, they're going to want who knows how much money just to do this for me if I can't do it. Hell, I can't even get people to come and work in the yard unless they want $25 a fucking hour. I offer them 10. They're not happy with that. No. People don't want to work, and if they do, they want a whole lot of money. And then when you give them money, half the time, 3/4 of the time, they don't even do it right. So, you know, they make it worse than what it was before they started. So many times that's happened to me. Pay, and for what? Just a bunch of bullshit. Anyway, okay. So hold on a minute. And this is another thing I want to touch base on. You know, people don't value individuals like Amari with disabilities because, you know, they require work. They're burdensome, right? You know, and with the way the world is, with this assisted suicide made, and, you know, old people aren't worth anything unless they've got money, like my landlords, then they become important. But if you don't have money, then you should be removed off the planet because you just basically been reduced down to an eater. It's funny how some people eaters, while other people are so important and are entitled to eat even though they might not be of good character. You know, if you're a criminal in British Columbia, Canada, you'll do well. If you're a nice person, expect not to have a long life, right? You'll be lucky to get through life if you're a nice person. Because, you know, people see it as a weakness and they try and hurt you and just whatever, right? So besides that point, you know, so, you know, like, how can I say this? Like, what is, you know, I'm doing all this and for what purpose? For a child that, you know, like, what does Amari give back to society? That's, okay? You know, why are you wasting your time? He's just a disabled child. Who cares? You know, he's more valuable dead than alive, because if he's dead, the people that do commit illegal activity, they can harvest his organs and capitalize off of it. You know how children go into foster care and then suddenly they die, and then whoever, you know, the parents try and find out what happened and they never really do. But we all know at the end of the day that, you know, their body parts were salvaged for, right? Okay. I'm just saying, right? You know, it happens, right? Okay, so, you know, like, people don't understand, you know, because they would not go out of their way to do this, and because they would not go out of their way to do this, somehow, with me going out of my way to do this, you know, there's something wrong with me, right? Because there's no money to it, right? It's a money pit, right? Why are you feeding that little boy all that meat? Why are you canning it? Why are you wasting your time? You know, it's like that fucking Punjabi coming to my door asking for water, and when I'm saying no, and I explain to him why, all of a sudden he starts attacking me, accusing me of being, you know, a welfare bum. Oh, you don't work, you know, right, you know, blah. And I was like, fuck off, man. You're like, you know, like, how do you know I don't work? Just because you don't value my work doesn't mean that what I've done hasn't been important, because it has been, right? Well, it's kind of like the same thing with Amari in terms of, you know, why are you wasting your time, right? He's just a disabled little boy that's, you know, has the life expectancy between 45 years, and if he's real lucky with a very good caregiver that would go out of the way to do something like this for him as he's older, right? He might live until he's 70, but for the most part, we're looking at 45 years. Because that's what I was told, right? So if that's the case, why are you wasting money? Why are you wasting money on him? Right? Go and pay more rent to the landlord. It's the landlord that needs the money, not Amari. Amari doesn't need the beef. It's the landlord that needs the money so they can go build themselves another fucking house. Right? So they can go back to their temple and walk among their peers, comparing how many houses they own between each other. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, because they wouldn't do it. Maybe they might for their own loved one if they really, really love them. But outside of that, no. And even then, you know, it's easy to turn your back on children like Amari. Never mind when they're adults and the work gets even harder because they're big, right? And they have more health problems or whatever. You know, it's harder to change them and harder to move them, and who knows, some of them have behavioral problems. Where Amari, and I'm gonna do a video on this, people. It's gonna take a little while because I have to catch him in the act, right? I gotta catch him in the act in terms of I don't know how to put a title on it just yet, but you know, where is the value in Amari? For me to do this, first of all, for myself, and then expect somebody else, after I can't do it anymore, to continue doing it for him in larger proportions the older he gets, so that his quality of life is the best that it can be until he's no longer able to live for whatever reason, right? Because with people like Amari, where they are somewhat stationary and are laying down a lot, they end up getting lung problems, right? Because they're not, you know, sitting up and moving around, and so, you know, or maybe they puke for whatever reason, and then they get, what is that, you know, they breathe in the vomit into their lungs, and then it can create lung problems. But Amari's, you know, he's a little active, so he can sit up, and he does his little knee thing, and, you know, when he wants to sit up, he sits up, and he's just sitting there looking around, and, you know, he's always flipping around and doing whatever. So, you know, but that's not to say that, you know, he might not be sleeping, and then all of a sudden, you know, puke comes up, and depending on the position of the way he's sleeping, it could very well backdraft into his lungs. And like anytime he has a seizure, they're always checking his lungs to make sure that, you know, there's no vomit in his lungs because of bliss, blah, you know, it's just another procedure that they get paid for. But besides that point, so, you know, where's the value in Amari where I'm spending $150 or more, with, that's the jars included, right? And going out of my way to do this when other people want me to not spend that money and would expect me to give it to them because of their idea of, you know, why should you pay what you're paying in rent when I can kick you out and get $4,500 a month, you know, just because. Not that it's morally right, but just because, you know, because the system's been rigged, right? So I figure I'll do some videos with Amari in happy time when he's being his little goofball self. Giggling away. Because if the world could be as happy as Amari, and here's his self-worth, if the world could be as happy as Amari, considering his situation, the world would be a better place. And that's the value in Amari. more reason to love him and always strive to, you know, look after him to the best of your ability. And anytime you can improve your method of care, the better it is. It's just, most people, they don't care about stuff like that, people. Because they would see Amari as a burden. He's already had his back. People have already turned their back on Amari, for crying out loud. Long time ago. So, I don't know. I know doing a little video on the value of Amari with his, if the world could be as happy as you, it would be a better place, isn't going to solve the problem. You hear him giggling? He's giggling. He's playing and he's giggling. He's happy. You know, a lot of people wouldn't want him to be happy. Especially those sadistic people. The ones that like that loose harvesting, who like to injure others and hurt others, you know, because of sickness in their brains. So, because, you know, they'll be like, well, you know, why are you wasting money on Amari? Just give him tuna, you know? Who cares about the mercury? Just open up a cheap can of tuna. Give that $100 to your landlord. You know, she's more deserving than your grandson. I'm just using that as an example, right? Yeah, okay, whatever. You want to kick me out because I want to feed my grandson good food so that he can have a little sense of quality of life, right? As people are plotting and scheming how to capitalize off of his injuries one way or another. If it's not the fucking doctors, oh, well, we got to x-ray him 2 times a year just because, you know. No, you don't. It's not necessary. Right? It's not gonna change anything at the end of whatever it is that you're looking for, because you're gonna do what you're gonna do anyway when the shit hits the fan. In other words, if you know this hip surgery, right? You know, like I could wake up tomorrow morning and his hip could have popped out already, because he moves, like I say, he's like a little contortionist. So it could pop out at any time now, because it's already been pulling out, right, in terms of the socket, right? With very little collagen in between the bones, because, you know, he got reduced down to those drinks, and he wasn't getting this stuff because he wouldn't eat, right? Because he was so full with fucking drinks. So it eroded his collagen, right? Because when they do their x-rays, the doctor told me last time, you know, his collagen is not good in terms of the amount of it, right? And I'm like, holy shit, but what can I do? Like, they give him drinks. You know, if you don't fucking give him drinks, you're doing something wrong. And then you just, to hell with it. Finally, I don't give him, like, he was given 4, and even then, he's been a little backed up, and I don't want to give him any more, people. I don't. And that's why I'm doing this. So, when I phone to order, you know, I'm allowed diaper wipes, diapers, and drinks, right? And this Emolax, which I haven't used. I don't need it. I use organic prune juice. Plus, I'm making my own juice. And, what do you call it? And I just bought, like, over $100 worth of Pampers, to which Andre and I, we've used 2 Pampers so far. 3? And no leaks. Oh man, Andre and I, we're both ecstatic. You don't even know how happy we are with that result in terms of no leaks. And if I can, you know, if it continues on like that, because it's a better quality diaper and it fucking fits better, right? And it cutting back on my laundry, holy shit. I'm going to now have to budget in diapers, because I'll be phoning up for diaper wipes. Well, what do you need to order? 7 boxes of drinks for a month? 3 or 4 boxes of these Huggies, which I can't stand, and a box of diaper wipes, I'd be like, I don't want the drinks, and I don't want the diapers, because I still got a whole bunch of bags here, because I'd now buy my own diapers. And after it's all said and done, I do plan on using cloth diapers for just comfort for him. And to cut back on the cost. But, you know, I got boxes of crafts in my bathroom that I either need to sell off or, I don't know, maybe put up in the attic or something. I don't really want to sell them off because, you know, Andre might want to use them one day for something or something because, you know, so I may just see if I can put a couple of lightweight boxes up in the attic because right now they're just sitting in my bathroom. And if you bring in a diaper pail, you know, it's got to sit in the bathroom, right? That's what I mean. You know, like, I want to move. Like, you don't even know, people. I want a different environment. I need a living room where, you know, I can have, you know, like a reclining chair for him, something comfortable, a big mattress on the floor with the bean bags that he can't toss around and smother himself with. You know, maybe a couch off to the side there that if you want, you can lay on the couch without being bothered by him. Because as soon as I lay down on the couch, my God, he's right there like a dirty little shirt, moving and he's up against, and he's pulling on me, and he's laying, and he's going on like this, like fucking, oh. You don't even know. Right? I'm stuck. I'm stuck. As I'm feeling guilty for spending money on my grandson. Right? Because my landlady wants the fucking money instead. Like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? No. My grandson deserves to have some kind of little future. I don't know what kind of future he's going to have, but I'm trying to make it so that, you know, I don't know if I'll ever be able to repair the damage that these drinks created in terms of not providing the nutrients. Yeah, because he wouldn't eat people. They were filling him up. And then not only were they filling him up, but they were fucking clogging him up. So before you go off and, you know, if you ever find yourself in this position, because you never know when it's coming. You see, that's the thing. You just never know. You think you're safe, and you wake up one day and boom. You know, unless, of course, you want to pawn off your responsibility to somebody else and turn your back and ignore the fact that, you know, just, I don't know. So we got almost one now done. So one's done. Now we'll do the other one, and then it goes back into the fridge till tomorrow. And then I'm going to wash jars, 24 jars. And I'll wash a few of these so that I don't have to do it tomorrow, because I'm sure I'll have some broth left. Because that's what's going to... I don't know if the collagen will ever be, because usually when you lose, like, as we age, we lose collagen, right? And I don't know if it repairs itself. I don't think so. I'm hoping it does. So that's another reason why I'm doing this, right? Because that's the only place you're really going to get it from. You don't really get it from plant matter. You don't. You get it from animal fats and, you know, nutrients and stuff. That's why it's important for people to eat meat, right? And I don't know. I don't know if it will ever come back. It's hard to say. It might. Depends. That's why I want to give him meat every day. Some kind of meat every day. 1 to 2 times a day. But I have to do it in little bits and batches. Right? To give his body time to digest it properly. And it has to be a variety of different kinds of meat. Can't be just one kind. Okay, so we got the small one done. And now we're going to do the big one. Right? Oh. See? And we've got the blood pooling up in here, which is good because you want that, right? So now we're going to put this, oh boy, in there. Actually, I'm glad I bought 2 of these because I get more jars. And that will be good. So, I'm going to go wash my hands and sip on my coffee because I got coffee over there. Blow my nose. And then cut this one, get them in the fridge, start washing jars, get ready for tomorrow. Because I had to sleep, I'm not that tired. But hopefully by the time I do the jars, which by the time that a couple more hours will go by, because you know they've been up, right? We were up till 3 o'clock in the morning yesterday, and then I said I woke up at 7, right? So that's why I fell asleep. But they're up right now still, so whatever, you know. Just the way it is. I wash these and I keep them for when I'm growing tomato plants and those kind of things. That's a pretty big piece of meat. So yeah, I'm glad I bought 2 of them. This is working out pretty good. Okay, so now it is, oh my god, 1:36 a.m. in the morning. And it's really starting to smell like beef bone broth. I can really smell it. I was just in the bathroom working with those mashed potatoes, right? And tomorrow I get to grind them up, and then after I'm done canning, I'll make some more until there's done with that. And then if I'm shy 1 or 2 jars for my 12 jars for a case, then I get to order something online from whatever so I can get my potatoes. And then once I get my case, I'm happy with that. Okay, so I put the beef in the fridge. It's all cut up. Now Andre did ask me to start teaching him how to do this stuff. So I think the next time I do not the plums and the apples, that's, you know, the peeling of the apples, I don't know, he wouldn't be able to do that, but definitely like the next time I do meat, which will probably be in a couple 2-3 months, assuming how fast I go through these jars, for Amari, that is. It depends, I just don't know, right? Maybe I'll get him to do the prep work, cut the meat, whatever, get the bones going, right? Learn how to adjust the temperature, wash the jars, you know, get them in here, filling them up, and get him because, you know, once he learns, it'll be good, right? It'll be really good. So I don't think I'm going to wash jars tonight because actually I'm kind of like tired and not feeling that great because, you know, this makes me dizzy and stuff, right? And I don't like, it's enough I have to struggle with my eyes the way they are during the day, but when there's no sunlight even coming through a little bit of windows, I don't like it. It all blurs together, so you're like, and we'll leave that cooking for the night. Get up in the morning, wash the jars, and basically start canning by 9-10 o'clock in the morning. The first batch anyway, we'll see how many jars we can get into the canner, and we'll see how much we get to use up, and then yeah, it'll be done. Okay, so I went back to sleep at 3 in the morning. After I did what I did. You've seen that, right? I woke up, it's like 7:15, something like this. And guess what? It's raining. I can hear it. I don't know how long it's been raining for. And of course, you know, I'm thinking about my landlady. Right? And um, I'm on guard because if it really starts to pick up this rain, I don't know if my son went to work because of the rain, because he works in the rain, right? It doesn't matter. I mean, unless it's pouring, maybe he might not work in the rain, but he works in the rain. I don't know if Marina's downstairs because she goes to work. I don't know. I can't open my back door porch because my back door here by my fridge because I have no dry porch, so stuff gets stuffed beside the fridge in front of the door, the glass door, as I'm doing things, right? So I'd have to move everything just to be able to try and open the door, hope that the door doesn't get stuck on the rail or whatever. And then I get assaulted by my porch because you know it's saturated and everything out there is saturated. To go down the stairs to see if the garage is starting to fill up. And if the garage is filling up, people, I don't know. I don't know if it's because that little teeny weeny hole that Alex made clogged up. I don't know if I call my landlady what she would say, what she would do. What would she say? You deal with it. You call Alex, have Alex come deal with it. I'm told you, take it as it. If you don't like it, you can move. Like, this is abuse. This is assault, man. This is pathetic. Would she have what? Plumbers are expensive. Would she have somebody come, one of her Punjabi fucking friends, so that they can give me the old okie dokie and cover her ass so that they can avoid fixing it the way it needs to be fixed? Just prolong it so it backs up real bad one day and ends up back in the laundry room, spreading out through underneath the floorboards within the basement itself. Oh, that's stupid, man. Well, I've been living like this for years. So I'll be listening to the rain all day. Having panic attacks all day. When the rain picks up, it's picking up, I can hear it. When the rain slows down a bit, I'm only hoping that it's draining or whatever, and my heart slows down a bit. But as soon as the rain picks up, and it's picking up, and I don't know how long it's been raining for. It wasn't raining when I went to sleep at 3 this morning. So it's been raining for a while, anyway, probably. I hear somebody booming around downstairs. So, at least I don't have to try and go outside in the dark, around the house, stumbling, to see if there's water piling up to the point where it becomes an emergency. Yeah. Because the sump pump, if it becomes an emergency, the sump pump isn't strong enough to pump it out because, you know, we just have a small one, right? Because of this shit. And that was bought quite a few years ago. And I use my credit card to do the things that I do, to buy the shit that I have bought or whatever, basically. Yeah. Because I don't have that extra quote-unquote money after I pay the bills, right? so I use my credit card. Yeah. And what little bit I did buy in the last little while, I have to pay it back, right? Just so I can situate myself and not live in some third world country under a caste system where you're like treated like a, I don't know what. It's pathetic. I hear the rain. And I'm tired. I should go back to sleep. Try to anyway for a little while longer. Because I have to can this beef now. I smell the bones. I didn't wash the jars because I got too tired. So when I do get busy in there, I'm going to get up, wash the jars, and just, the meat's all cut, do what I said I was going to do, try and get as many jars into the canner as I can with the first batch, and then we'll see what's left, if there is anything left. And if I have to, I'll do it a second time with what's left in terms of canning. And then it's the plums and the apples to make juice for Amari, to try and save money so I can pay my bills, my credit cards, and my rent. Yeah, see, it's picking up. I can hear it. Oh my God. And if it rains all day, that's when the water gets too saturated within everywhere, and it just, that's when it becomes dangerous. When it becomes too saturated. And right now this drain is very, very dysfunctional. Yeah, it's always been dysfunctional, but it's extremely dysfunctional right now, and I'm so freaking scared you don't even know. And I don't even know how my landlady is going to react to it if it gets to where it was, like, when she was in freaking India. Yeah. Because when it happens, they don't send nobody. They don't do nothing about it. They expect us to deal with it. But it's beyond our scope in terms of, we can't dig up pipes to change pipes. Technically, we're not qualified for that. Does she expect my son to do that for free? As if he could even do it by himself? Yeah, okay. It's pathetic. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to finish this video, and I'll start later part 2 of this beef, I suppose, when I'm actually doing something. I'm listening to the rain. It's speeding up, slowing down. Speeding up, slowing down. I don't know. One of the reasons they don't like to do anything quote-unquote major when it comes to a repair, I suppose, is they're always holding it against me that this place is going to be torn down for property development. It's just a matter of time, so it's not worth the investment because the house is old. But yet when they put it up for market for sale, they put $3 million they want, right? And then they advertise the greenhouse, the sheds, all the sheds, garden beds, everything that I did, they advertised to try and get people to buy it so that I guess I get kicked out and they can rent it out or do whatever the fuck people do these days, right? Until the property developer comes and tears down the house. You know, they don't want to fix the porch because, you know, it's excuse after excuse after excuse. It's just, oh my God, man, you don't even know. I'm so tired of it, people. I can't even plan to make move. I can plan to try and work my way out of this house, which it's right in the forefront of my brain, but Even if I wanted to pack up as fast as I could and leave, there's nowhere to go. And that's just the bottom fucking line. Yeah. Because that's not the agenda. The agenda is to bust up as many houses as they can, displace as many people as they can, so that more become vulnerable and easier to capitalize on, however they do it, in terms of these people that do this kind of stuff in partnership with the government, because the government fuels it along as well, right? It's not just organized religion, you know, although organized religion, I would say, is the leading cause, yeah, with a negligent government that capitalizes through the body parts that are coming in through illegal organ harvesting and all that crap, you know, putting kids in foster care to prop up their friends with, you know, X amount of dollars through the foster care system that's tax-free, as the parents, many of them, become either alcoholics, OD, because they, you know, did it to themselves, they were depressed, or just straight up fucking murdered, right? End up out on the streets. And now, but this is nothing new. We just had an election, and the NDP came in with 2 MLAs ahead in comparison to the Conservative Party and the Green Party with 2 politicians in Parliament. And as it was being acknowledged by David Eby, he was saying that he's going to support the Conservatives with involuntary what do they call it? Involuntary, you know, you have to be locked up in a mental institution. They're going to involuntary a whole lot of people to do that. They're going to make it legal, where if somebody deems that you need to be locked up for health reasons, mental health, right? Mental health reasons, they're going to make it easy to do that, because they need to clean up the streets with all the sick people that are out there because of the bullshit that's been going on with the housing market for too many freaking years. Too many broken people, too many broken families, too many broken kids, you know, teenagers, that type of thing, that aren't getting the resources that they need because their houses are being fucking torn apart from the inside out by the fucking property developer and organized religion, as the government comes in with their government workers and scoops up some body parts in the hospitals, like Chimay and Sierra, with the dirty cops fucking covering it up and facilitating it as they go. That's what's going on, people. Like, it's stupid, you know. And of course, it's only certain kind of people that are being targeted for this kind of thing, right? You can't bring in a whole bunch of fucking immigrants into the province and then start targeting them for body parts and throwing their asses out onto the streets. It would be an uproar, right? You know, it'd be, oh, the white person's picking on us, it's institutional racism. Why did we come to Canada with a bunch of white institutional racist bastards? You know, oh, we can't get ahead in Canada because of, you know, that shit, right? Oh my God, you know, it just never fucking ends. Even to this day, the Punjabis are crying on about how they're being picked on because white people are picking on them, when that's a flat out fucking lie. It's the biggest lie on the planet. Yeah, no, it's more like the other way around. Clearly, you can see that with my videos, people. Oh, it sounds like the rain stopped. All day I'm going to be having all winter. All I'm thinking about is wait till it really starts to rain. And we have to go out there and start bailing and freezing our feet and freezing our asses off and freezing our hands while my landlady's not answering her fucking phone. Yeah, okay. And then if I can't get a hold of Alex, or Alex can't come because Alex is busy on a job doing whatever he's supposed to do with his job, right? And I phone another plumber under an emergency situation and have to pay $400 out of my pocket because, you know, my landlady's not answering her fucking phone. And then when it's all said and done, right, Like I said, or what is it going to take to get gangrene on our hands because they froze while we were bailing out fucking freezing water? Or maybe our toes, or who knows? For my landlady to wake up and smell the fucking coffee here? Like, seriously. As she's still blaming me that I don't pay enough fucking rent and therefore she has a right not to fucking fix things properly. Yeah, okay. Or fix it all. Or drag it out for 3 fucking years. It's already been 3 years. You were warned 3 years ago about this pipe. In general, period. And now we're battling roots. To boot. Yeah, okay. This is stupid, man. I mean, like, why would I want to stay, people? After all these years, I'm tired. Right? I think about the fence and I get fucking panic attacks just thinking about the fucking fence, trying to convince myself that I'm superhuman and superwoman and mother of the year, and that when spring comes I'll go out there with my boots pulled up to my fucking ass in terms of pull up those bootstraps, and I'll do my landlady's fucking job just so that the fence can be put back up and held in place with stupid chicken wire. Like, right? Like, come on. Not to mention battling this porch. Scrounging around for scraps to try and prevent it from fucking leaking. Yeah, okay. It's dumb. Having to spray the carpet downstairs with tea tree oil and peppermint oil to try and kill off the freaking mildew that comes up from underneath the floorboards. From the cement as it's being saturated outside with clogged pipes. To move to get the same kind of attitude, the same kind of landlord, but only have to pay 2 or 3 times more, well, fucking 3 times more. Have to pay 3 times more for the same kind of troubles. Yeah. And then be called fucking white trash because I'm just a renter that pays $4,000 for a measly broken down fucking house that's held over your head that is going to be torn down anyway because the property developer is going to improve the fucking neighborhood as they moved in all these fucking immigrants that are being subsidized by stupid governments that clearly are trafficking them, setting them up for the next stage of never-ending fucking body parts after the white people and the black people and those kind of Indians, like Native Indians, American, Canadian Native Indians are dead. See, it's starting to rain again. It picked up. Yeah, that's what's happening here all day long. It's going to be, and then a big wind will come with a huge torrent of rain, and then the fucking game will be on. Forget about Russian roulette. You've already been shot like fucking 6 times. The chamber is empty. And just as fast as it's empty, it's being reloaded. Oh my God. This is a sickness. A freaking sickness. And if you move into an apartment, you pay what, $2,800 for a three-bedroom cockroach-infested, mouse-infested, fucking bed-bug-infested, cupboard-bug-infested apartment with a bunch of crazy, depressed people in it, to only have the city come along and tear it down, and flush out all those people, all those suites, 133 suites with a bunch of families sitting inside of them, depressed as all can be. 8 to a fucking suite in a 3-bedroom. Yeah. And then kick them all out so the property developer can come in and build fucking condos for the next generation of replacement migration of immigrants. Yeah. Well, the Punjabis sit up in their fucking community, in their monster homes, when it's not the Chinese sitting up in their community, in their monster homes, when it's not the freaking Muslims. Everybody that comes from a different country, basically, and the few that are born here get so corrupted from their freaking parents because of that racism, oh woe is me, get the white man and their kids and their daughters and mothers and sisters and wives by any means necessary because they made it so freaking hard for us. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. And blacks, because blacks are always at the bottom of the totem pole. Always. Unless they're a real sellout and an Uncle Tom. Yeah. Be black on the outside and a crook to the core on the inside. Then you might survive. Other than that, you're a sitting duck. So I can't get mad at Tisha for wanting to take the kids away from that riff-raff crap that goes on in this rotten, stinking fucking Canada. Country called Canada. Yeah. Haven't said that in a long time. Rotten, stinking country called Canada. Because that's exactly what it is. A rotten, stinking fucking country. Yeah. If you want to get ahead, make sure you're a crook. Make sure you have zero morals. Make sure you are a bad person before you come. Because if you're not, your chances of success are almost nil to none. Yeah. Unless you can blend in with the ethnic crowd into what neighborhood you moved into. Yeah. 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 So my heart is going up and down, up and down, up and down. The rain's to slow down. I'm just waiting for it to really start picking up and start really raining hard. Oh boy. Yeah. I don't even want to look on the porch. I've been putting it off, because I know what I'm going to get, because I already seen it when last time I was out there. And it's not pretty. Nope. It's depressing. That's what it is. But it's nothing new. It's been like that ever since I moved in, no matter what I've done to try and fix that problem. It just gets worse every year because more leaks, that's all. When they re-shingled the roof, they didn't change the shingles, they just put shingles upon shingles. They never fixed the seam where where the end of, there's a seam and leaking through the whole thing. A couple of years ago, my son and I, we put metal. I had metal sheets from when the little house was being dismantled, and they were used to cover wood to protect the wood, but I brought them here, and we made a little gutter, chained them up with some little chains. It worked for a couple of years, but now, I don't know, something's going on. It needs another one, going this way, right? And it's just stupid. And that's just that part. That's not the whole freaking porch in general, period. See? It's starting to... It's still raining. And then that drain just gets... It can't cope with it. And then if it clogs, that's it. We're dead. Yeah, we're fucking dead. Yeah, it's picking up again. Yeah, but it's been raining consistent. It's been raining consistent. Yeah. This is bad. It's a living freaking nightmare. Yeah. I'm gonna fix the fence to be kicked out. I'm gonna fix the fence. I'm just using the fence as an example to move and leave it nice for the next tenant after I leave. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Go out there. Spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and outside so that they can still throw it in your face that you're not doing good enough. Yeah, sure. Been there, done that so many times. Yeah. Yeah, it's picking up. I'm waiting for a big one to come. A big torrent rain, like a rainstorm to run through. That's what I'm waiting for. I'll be waiting for it for all winter long. Yeah. And now it's slowed down again. No, it's still raining. I can hear it. There's that loose harvesting. See? It's picking up. The wind is picking up. There. Yeah, it's picking up. Can't phone her. She'll just want to argue with me and call me down. Insult me. Hang up the phone on me. Tell me she's had enough. Yeah. Yeah. She's old. She can't cope with it. Yeah, okay. That's why you hop on airplanes at 84 years old for a Vasaki parade. Okay. After heart surgery of all things yet. Okay. Like I said, I really question what kind of heart surgery she had. I do.